You're standing in front of the fridge at 10 p.m. You just had dinner 2 hours ago. Your stomach isn't growling. You're not physically hungry, but your hand is already reaching for the leftover pizza. And even as you're eating it, you feel disconnected, almost like you're watching yourself from the outside. You know this feeling. If you've ever eaten when your body didn't need food, felt powerless to stop, or wondered why you reach for snacks when you're stressed, bored, or lonely, this video reveals the hidden psychological patterns driving your behavior and the exact steps to break free. This is called emotional eating or psychological hunger. Here's how it started. When you were young, food wasn't just fuel. It was comfort when you cried, celebration when you succeeded, and distraction when things felt hard. Your brain learned to pair food with emotional relief, and that wiring is still running the show today. But here's what most people miss. This isn't about willpower. This isn't about being weak or lacking discipline. Your brain is doing exactly what it was trained to do. It's solving an emotional problem with the most reliable tool it knows. And until you understand the real function food is serving in your life, no diet or meal plan will ever stick. Let's break down the 3 key psychological mechanisms that keep this pattern alive. Mechanism 1. Operant conditioning and emotional substitution. Your brain connects food with emotional regulation because it worked when you were young. When you were upset as a child and someone gave you a cookie, your distress decreased. Your nervous system recorded that. Food equals calm. Food equals safety. Food equals love. Here's a concrete example. Maybe you had a stressful day at work. Your boss criticized you in a meeting. You feel shame, anger, maybe some anxiety. You don't want to feel those feelings. So you stop at the drive-thru on the way home. Within minutes of eating, there's a temporary numbness. The emotions dull. Your brain just got proof again that food works as an emotional anesthetic. This happens unconsciously, in seconds. Do you see how this pattern shows up in your life? Not just with stress, but with boredom, loneliness, even happiness. Any big emotion can become a trigger. Mechanism 2. The dopamine reward loop and predictable pleasure. When you eat, especially foods high in sugar, fat, or salt, your brain releases dopamine. That's the neurochemical of reward and motivation. It feels good. It's predictable. It's available. Unlike other sources of pleasure, like connection, achievement, or rest, which take time and effort and might not work, food is instant. Here's what happens. Your brain starts to prefer the guaranteed dopamine hit from eating over the uncertain dopamine from other activities. You could call a friend, but they might be busy. You could go for a walk, but it's raining. You could work on that project, but what if you fail? Food never says no. Food is always there. So your brain, trying to be efficient, routes you straight to the fridge. What if I told you that every time you eat without hunger, you're not choosing food? You're choosing certainty over risk. Your brain is protecting you from the vulnerability of trying other ways to feel better. Mechanism 3. Interoceptive confusion and disconnection from body signals. Interoceptive awareness is your ability to sense what's happening inside your body. Hunger, fullness, thirst, fatigue, emotion. When you override your body's signals repeatedly, when you eat past fullness or eat when you're not hungry, you train yourself to ignore those signals. Over time, you lose the ability to tell the difference between physical hunger and emotional need. Here's how it shows up. You might feel a tightness in your chest. That could be anxiety. That could be sadness. That could be hunger. But because you've learned to respond to all discomfort with food, you don't pause to check. You just eat. And because eating temporarily soothes the discomfort, whether it was hunger or not, the pattern gets reinforced. This is where most people get stuck. They think the problem is the food, but the real problem is the lost connection to their own internal experience. You can't regulate what you can't feel. So what does this pattern cost you? First, it costs you your relationship with your body. You stop trusting yourself. You feel out of control. You might feel shame every time you eat, even when you're actually hungry. Food becomes the enemy, and your body becomes something to manage and restrict rather than something to listen to and care for. Second, it costs you emotional growth. Every time you use food to avoid a feeling, you rob yourself of the chance to process that feeling, to learn from it, to build resilience. You stay emotionally young. The feelings don't go away. They just pile up, waiting under the surface. And the more they pile up, the more you need food to keep them down. Third, it costs you your sense of agency. You start to believe that you're powerless, that you'll always be this way, that you're broken, and that belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You stop trying. You stop believing change is possible, and the pattern deepens. But here's the good news. None of this means you're damaged. It means you're human. And it means that once you understand what's really happening, you can start to change it. Here's the reframe. You're not broken. You're brilliantly adapted. Your brain found a survival strategy that worked in your environment. Food soothed you when no one else could. Food was consistent when people weren't. Food gave you a sense of control when everything else felt chaotic. You weren't eating because you were weak. You were eating because you were resourceful. And now, as an adult, you get to update the strategy. You get to teach your brain new ways to meet those needs. Not through force or restriction, but through curiosity, compassion, and practice. Here are 5 micro steps you can start today. Step 1. Name the feeling before you eat. Before you reach for food, when you're not physically hungry, pause for 10 seconds. Put your hand on your chest or your stomach. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Anxious? Bored? Lonely? Angry? Tired? You don't have to do anything about the feeling yet. Just name it. Write it down if that helps. This simple act of naming starts to rebuild your interoceptive awareness. Step 2. Experiment with a 5-minute delay. When you notice the urge to eat and you're not hungry, tell yourself you can eat in 5 minutes. But first, try something else. Drink water. Step outside. Do 10 jumping jacks. Text a friend. The goal isn't to stop eating. The goal is to prove to your brain that there are other ways to shift your state. Even if you still eat after 5 minutes, you've introduced a new option. Over time, your brain will start to consider it. Step 3. Give yourself permission to feel without fixing. This is hard, but it's the most important step. Practice sitting with a difficult emotion for just 2 minutes without trying to make it go away. Set a timer. Let yourself feel sad, or anxious, or angry. Breathe. Notice where it lives in your body. Remind yourself that feelings are temporary. They rise, they peak, they pass. You don't have to eat to survive them. You're strong enough to hold them. Step 4. Build non-food sources of dopamine and comfort. Make a list of 10 activities that feel good to you, not food. Things like listening to music, taking a hot shower, petting your dog, stretching, watching a funny video, calling someone who makes you laugh. Keep the list on your phone. When you feel the urge to eat emotionally, pick one thing from the list and try it first. You're training your brain that pleasure and comfort don't only come from food. Step 5. Work with a therapist or coach who understands emotional eating. If this pattern is deeply entrenched, you don't have to do it alone. A therapist trained in intuitive eating, dialectical behavior therapy, or somatic work can help you process the emotions you've been avoiding and rebuild your relationship with food and your body. This isn't weakness. This is wisdom. Healing happens in connection. Imagine yourself standing in front of that fridge again at 10 p.m. But this time you pause. You take a breath. You ask yourself what you really need. And maybe you realize you're lonely, so you text a friend instead. Or maybe you realize you're actually hungry, so you eat without guilt. Either way, you're not on autopilot anymore. You're awake. You're connected. You're free. Watch my video on the psychology of people who can't stop thinking about food to understand how food obsession and restriction keep this cycle alive. Comment below with one word that describes how this video made you feel. And subscribe for weekly psychology insights that help you understand yourself and break free from patterns that no longer serve you.